just gonna start sharing my screen. I know that some people are still joining, but we'll try to keep it Swiss and kick it off on time. And we'll share the recording for everyone who'll join a little bit later. So welcome everyone for this session. As a reminder, it's a question and answer session for Shift program. I know that many of you have already applied, and I guess you have some follow-on questions. Some of you are just considering, so we are here to answer all the concerns that you may have. So first, while we are still connecting and waiting for a few people, if you could drop in the chat or maybe quickly unmute yourself and say where are you connecting from. I can start. I'm connecting today from Moscow.
Hi everyone, Nastasia here. I'm connecting from Nairobi.
Jesse from Kenya.
Nice.
Hi everyone, I'm Elom. I'm connecting from Accra, Ghana.
Cool.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Lydia. Okay, I'm connecting from Lagos, Nigeria.
Hi, and I'm Elsa connecting from Lebanon.
Lovely. So we have Middle East, Africa. Do we have anyone from Asia today?
Hey everyone, this is Kashyap. I'm connecting from Hyderabad, India.
Hi, guys. Cool. So if you just joined, just feel free to type where are you connecting from, so we all know. And meanwhile, we'll move forward with the agenda. So today it's going to be a very brief session. We'll start with quick introductions. Then we'll quickly remind you about the Shift program and its benefits. And then move on to the fireside inside chat with Sam, who is alumni of our program and who could share with you a bit more how this experience was for him. So hopefully it can also help you decide whether to join this program or not. And then we'll go to the main part of the session, which is Q&A. We've received already some questions, so thanks a lot. We are going to go through them. Feel free to also drop during the session your questions in the chat so we can make sure to answer them. And of course, you'll be able to just raise a hand and ask it live. Before we start, I just want to say once again, many thanks for organizations and people who made this initiative possible. Thanks to Impact Linked Financial Fund, thanks to Austrian Development Corporation, and of course to Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation. Here are the people who are going to be answering your questions today. It's going to be from 3 different sides. So Anastasia from the partner side, Sam from alumni side, and myself, I'm Daria from implementer side. And I'll give the floor to each of us to quickly present who we are and the organizations. Anastasia, we can start with you.
Perfect. Thank you, Daria. And hello, everyone, again. As I mentioned, I'm joining in from Nairobi, and to briefly talk to you about the Impact Linked Fund for Gender Inclusive FinTech. Quite a long name, but this specific fund is from, it's housed within one of the partners that Daria has highlighted, the Impact Linked Finance Fund, which is a facility that is managed by 2 organizations, that is iGravity and Roots of Impact. So iGravity focuses on the technical support side, where we do work a lot with fintechs directly to help them build their capacity to develop and design solutions that can better serve migrant women and their families. And then on the other side, we have Roots of Impact, and we have someone joining us from their side today, Jesse, where they do offer the financial support to the companies that we work with. So in terms of the kind of financial support that we offer, specifically, we work with impact-linked finance. And as you can tell from the name, the idea is that some of the fintechs, or most of the fintechs that offer solutions targeted for migrant women or underserved populations in general typically have very little incentive to do that due to different factors that influence that. And the reason we use impact-linked finance is to be able to support these companies and to reward them for the general impact that they provide to this specific underserved population. So the form of financing, and we'll probably get to the details on Q&A in this case, are what we call THINKs, which are outcome-based grants. And this funding and the technical support that we offer is enabled through our two main donors, that is the Austrian Development Corporation and the Swiss Agency for Development, the Swiss Development Corporation as well. So as you can see from the figure here, we do work with different partners. In terms of the technical support, we've worked with Seedstars before in one of the programs. And right now we're working on another program, which is the purpose of our discussion today. We've worked with other accelerator partners like Village Capital and Women's World Banking. And then we also have fintechs at the center of what we do, and other partners as well that help with the fund management and potential finance of the companies that work with us. So I'll pause there, and we'll speak a little bit more hearing from your questions much later in the session.
Thanks a lot. And now moving to the next intro for Sam, who is our alumni of previous edition of the program that Anastasia just mentioned. It was called FI1 back then. Now it's called Shift, but it's basically the follow-on program on that one. So Sam, over to you.
Thank you so much. Just to give like a very quick intro, Sam, I'm dialing in from Lagos. Super excited to actually be on this call to speak a little bit about GigMail. We are a vehicle subscription startup with presence in Nigeria and Ghana, helping mobility-based gig workers with access to vehicles and key financial services. When we think about the average gig worker, that's the Uber driver, the Glovo rider, they have limited access to financial services, and this hampers their ability to thrive. What we have done is to set up a business that helps them solve that problem, working with financing partners, working with government and regulatory agencies to see how we can provide the drivers access to vehicles, access to financial services, which they need, and a job marketplace. That's a summary of what it is that we do. And we've been doing this across the last 3 years. And from inception to date, we've actually deployed over 8,000 vehicles as a business.
Thanks a lot for the quick intro, Sam. And 2 words about Seedstars. So we are a Swiss-based organization founded 12 years ago. Our mission is to support startups in emerging markets by giving them funding, capacity building, networks, etc., etc. You can see some numbers on the slide. I'm not gonna bother you with the boring details, but I'm proud to say that we have now, I think, 120 companies in our portfolio that we've invested to, and also have thousands of people as part of our community who are mentors, investors, coaches, other support organizations who we can connect to entrepreneurs to help them achieve their goals. About Shift program, so it's a support program specifically for growth stage fintech companies in Sub-Saharan Africa, MENA, and Asia. What we are trying to do, we are trying to back ventures that already serve women affected by migration or are open to explore this customer segment during the program to help them grow by giving them funds, tailored mentorship, investor connections, and global visibility. I'm gonna let Anastasia quickly present the other benefits of the program.
Super, thanks, Daria. And I'll not get so much into the details, but just to give a bit of context, the idea behind this follow-on program with Seedstars was based on the learnings that we had in the first program, the FI1 program. And the initial focus of the program and how we designed the program is that companies can be able to or have the capacity to design solutions that benefit migrant women and their families. And the idea is that these companies are already, in one way or the other, reaching this underserved population, but there is not much capacity, both in terms of the technical, the team within the team itself, and financially to be able to set up capabilities or strengthen their capabilities to better serve this segment. So based on this, there are several elements that are included in the program to enhance these capabilities. So one, there's a lot of mentorship and support from experts that are sourced within our networks, and specifically Seedstars based on their experience. And these mentors and experts offer tailored support to this fintech so that they can be able to design these solutions. And then besides that, there are also additional elements that we support with. So for instance, when we talk about impact, what exactly do we mean? And in respect to what the company solution is. So helping them design, helping them set up systems in place that they're able to track and record the different impact that they are producing through the different solutions that they have. And then this is also done through some of the tools that are incorporated in place. For example, in this program, there will be the Sigma platform where all the different fintechs will have access to. And through such a platform, it really improves capacity to track and to keep record of both business KPIs and impact focused KPIs. But over and beyond this, there are also opportunities to interact with the network of investors, both from Seedstars end, but also from our end as impact investors as well. And we hope that through the program, companies can be able to develop these capabilities and even be eligible for additional funding through our program. And then what we've done differently for this program, we have an additional grant that the fintechs that meet specific milestones are able to benefit from. And we can speak more to that, but there are specific milestones that, of course, will be tailored to the business itself. And then we set specific goals together that when you're able to achieve, you can be able to unlock this grants payment of up to 10,000. So these are some of the benefits that the companies can benefit from having gone through the program, and of course visibility beyond, because potentially also organizing events with other ecosystem actors at regionally, which would expose you to additional visibility across the ecosystem.
Thanks a lot for the benefits. If anyone has questions, feel free to drop them already in the chat. And we are going to move to the fireside insights with Sam and Siri. So hello again, Sam, and thank you again for joining. It's lovely to always be connecting with alumni, even post some years. I think it was 2 years, right, since the previous edition. Cool. So my first question to you is about your experience during that program, where you were focusing on bringing women into financial industry. And I wanted to ask you to share a bit more about how your solution was impacted by that, and how was your experience in the program?
So
I think there's...
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but with echo.
Oh, okay. But it's better now, right?
Yes, it's perfect.
Oh, thank you. When we look at the mobility industry, it's mostly dominated by male gig workers, and the shift program, which used to be FIWAM during our time, was like useful for us in our pursuit for an equity metric in our business, where we saw that very few women in our system were more compliant than majority of their male counterparts. To give feedback, to give insight on our business once again, I had mentioned earlier that we provide financial services to gig workers in the mobility industry. Everybody knows that the average rider and driver in the gig worker economy is mostly male. But we had seen that the few women we had in our system were more compliant than majority of their male counterparts that we had. So we decided that it would be best to scale the share of women in our community. With the FI1 program, which is now the focus was not only to increase women participation, but to also see how we can ensure inclusion for vulnerable groups like migrant women. And with the solution that we had implemented, we're able to provide training programs and learning pathways that helped these migrant women to transition into stable income generating opportunities. One of the key impacts that we also observed was that who thought there were no opportunities for them, found this as an exciting opportunity for them to earn, going from zero to earning in as little as 3 weeks. A fantastic story I would always love to reference is that of Fatima, which was one of our customers. She moved to Lagos for her studies and needed a means to earn. We provided her access to our offerings, and this gave her room not just to fend for herself, but to pay for our fees. A whole lot of this was possible because we're able to harness the learnings from the FI1 program, from trainings to speaking to mentors to having sessions amongst the cohort members. It helped to actually shape how we built our business for female entrepreneurs, female gig workers, and scale that aspect of our business.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for sharing, and I love the story behind. And so beyond the program support on focusing on like one more customer segment, I know that you also raised post-program from Seedstars International Fund. Could you explain a bit what role did the program play in it?
So raising from Seedstars International Ventures, being part of this program was actually very instrumental to that. And I would want to put this in 3 perspectives. Even beyond Seedstars International Ventures, I think we're able to raise from a whole lot more other investors beyond Seedstars, because even after raising from Seedstars, we're able to get like funds from a whole lot more investors as well. But I'll put it in 3 perspectives, my feedback on that question. Number 1 is actually on investment readiness. There's technical support from the program, there's mentorship, but super important as well is the investment readiness the program actually brings to bear. Why? When we did the program, it actually helped us to sharpen how we communicated our value proposition. It helped us to know how best to speak on discussing the risk, our business, and the growth strategy. Discussing every single one of these bits with confidence was something that we benefited. Secondly was the theory of change and impact positioning. I would highlight the theory of change because it was something that I had for the first time when I joined the program, and it was something that gave very, very significant value to how we saw impact for the business and how we actually started measuring impact points. Anastasia had made mention of that in the last slide, that there will be key focus on helping you measure impact. That was our experience. We got a better view of seeing how best to measure our impact, how best to position and report the impacts that we actually have. The third is on access to investors. Aside from engaging directly with Seedstars, the partners in Seedstars, it also gave us access to meeting other investors. There was a particular event in Malta where we had one-on-one with different investors, not just Seedstars investors, different investors. We had like one-on-one with them, and it wasn't just investments for equity. There were also investors for debt as well, which is also significant to some businesses. So We had events, different events that were able to meet with investors, different events where we're able to have one-on-one sessions with investors, different intros that actually happened during the course of the program related to our business to actually like speak to investors, and it was super useful for us. I would say for shift applicants that want to actually attract investors, this program is going to be like super useful to you because one, it's going to help give you clarity of vision. It would help you redefine your problem. As startup founders, as business owners, you definitely know the problem, but sometimes you need that third party to take a step back with and look at the problem you are trying to solve again. And is super useful for that. Two is how you really don't know if it's a huge win, but going through the program, you'd speak to people that would make you understand how important those little metrics are. And the third and the most important I think is the impact and the sustainability, like see. So if there is an impact, a social impact aspect of your business, it needs to be clearly defined, and the shift program is positioned to.
Sorry, Sam, we keep losing you.
I think we lost him. Yeah, sorry for that. Still part of our life, the technical issues. But I hope he'll be back to answer the questions. And yeah, I hope you still got the insights from what he shared. And now I suggest we move to the questions. So for everyone on the call, please, if you want to ask a question live, feel free to raise your hand. And I see that Sam is back with us, so he'll be able to also be one of the people who is answering the questions. So yeah, if anyone has a question, just raise a hand. And while I don't see any raised hands yet, so I'm gonna start with the questions that you shared with us before when you were applying for the meeting. So the first question is around impact KPIs, and I want to address it to Anastasia. The question is the following. What metrics or KPIs will be used to measure inclusion? And is there a requirement to report impact regularly?
Thanks, Daria. So maybe on the first part of the question where we're talking about how do we measure inclusion. So from the past program, based on the different solutions that we have, we'd really just generally one as a foundation or as a start, we look at women who are low income migrant women as already a typically underserved market. And when we say low income migrant women, we are referring to women who are working, like very manual jobs, I'd say, or for instance, domestic workers, anything outside the typical white collar jobs. So by virtue of the nature of jobs they are doing, we're looking at this as very low income migrant population. And then other than that, we also have their families. So for instance, some of these women, they'd access services such as payments they have to make back at home, remittances they have to make back at home. So it's a different range of solutions for these migrant women. So by virtue of looking at women who are within this kind of jobs, those are the kind of women we are targeting. And because we know by existing evidence that these are very marginalized groups in terms of the formal financial system, then we're looking at fintechs that are already solving or that are open to exploring this market segment as a potential viable segment. And then in terms of frequency of measuring this, so one, we always try to ensure that impact measurement is not an additional burden that a company has to deal with. So one, in terms of what we define as impact, it has to be embedded within your business model. So for instance, if your solution is focusing, let's say, on insurance, so in this case, we'd be looking at do we have women who can potentially, from your segment, benefit from such a solution? And then define impact based on the solution that you have, and that is where the metric or the target will be based on. And then if the company does not already measure this impact, this is something we'll be able to see at the beginning of the program, because we have a needs assessment where we're already diagnosing where the company is at in terms of this impact measurement systems. If they do not have, there's a co-creation process where they're able to define that together, and defining it around this underserved population, and then checking in, let's say in the course of the program, with your one-on-one sessions with the experts or the mentors, but it's more in a support capacity. There's no requirement to report like at that point. But then at the end of the program, we assess then and see what were the initial targets, how far have the companies gone as far as the targets are concerned. So for us at overall program level, we just want to see where the company started at in the beginning and where they ended at. So that would be the only reporting requirement for the metric. But throughout the program, if you need to redefine these metrics, there's that support that's available. If you need to redefine the targets as well, there's this support that's available. So that's how we're looking at inclusion, and that's the frequency of the reporting as far as the targets are met.
Thanks for answering this one. If anyone has any follow-on questions, again, feel free to raise your hand or type the question in the chat. I also noticed that some people just joined us like 5 minutes ago. So we are now at the last part of the session where we are going through questions and answers. So if you came with a question about the program, now it's the time to raise your hand or type your question in the chat. And meanwhile, I'm also going through the questions that we received from you before the meeting. So the next question is about the other opportunities available from Seedstars aside monetary value. So maybe to answer that, I can go back to our previous slide about benefits. So yes, indeed, like one of the benefits of the program is 10K result-based grant that you can receive at the end of the program. On top of that, what you're receiving is, of course, tailored mentorship and expert support. And here I want to also emphasize this point that Anastasia was mentioning on like impact diagnosis. We are going to do the same needs assessment with our smart methodology on our Sigma platform to really make this program as personalized as possible by finding the coach that is relevant for particular company needs, who is going to be coaching your company throughout the whole program. And on top of that, of course, we are also looking into our network and network of our partners beyond this one person, beyond this one coach that you're going to have for the whole program, to also find any niche experts that you may need to overcome blockers that you may have. And then, of course, some global visibility. We are going to be creating podcasts and media pieces to basically bring more visibility, more spotlight to you. So again, for everyone who just joined, if you have any question about the program, feel free to raise your hand or type it in the chat. And meanwhile, I'll go back to the list of questions that you sent us before the program. So there is an interesting question that I'd like to address again to Anastasia, to you, and I'm happy to also add something on top of that. The question is this: how does Shift for FinTech ensure startups gain lasting advantages compared to other accelerators particularly in access to capital and regulatory pathways. So I think you mentioned this point a little bit in terms of our learnings. So maybe you could emphasize this once again and add any other points there.
Super. Thank you, Daria. And yeah, I think that's also one of the concerns we have when we think about accelerator programs and trying to think how can we add additional value that's going to run beyond the program. And so one, in terms of access to capital, the structure within which our fund is focused on is that we understand that there's a very it's usually very hard to find companies that are, you know, ticking all the boxes as far as the impact is concerned, but then they also have that scale in terms of where they are as a business. And because of these gaps that we identified, that's why we have the technical assistance side, and then we have the potential financing side, that's where the transactions happen. And the idea is that through such a program, and once we've identified where the gaps of a company are, we're able to work through the accelerator program to see how we can be able to close the gaps where they are at. If a company, let's say, has not fully defined their business model, this is how they can benefit from the program. If there are impact gaps, then we can be able to support them develop more robust impact measurement systems, with the hope that upon successful completion of the program and based on where they are at in the stage as a company, they can potentially benefit from the funding that we have as a wider fund. And then that is on access capital on one front. On the other side, we also have a different network of investors within the fund, so that potentially, if we are not meeting our immediate criteria within the GIF, then you can potentially connect you to other potential investors that have similar alignments to the work you're doing and the impact that we're really looking into. And in that case, then there are multiple channels that we can access potential introductions for capital raise. And then on regulation, I think this is one front that we're still trying to navigate in terms of how we are able to ensure that we are building enough evidence that you can be able to make a case, for instance, for policy and regulatory alignment. And while it's very difficult, we are engaging through the different partners that we have in trying to see, is there opportunity for us to, you know, influence that? We've not been able to crack that yet, but it's something that is still within our radar, understanding how difficult it can be in terms of closing or ensuring that there's regulatory capacity for these fintechs to operate smoothly.
Thanks a lot. I hope that clarifies the question for the person who asked it. And maybe the last question that we'll answer live, and then for the rest we'll share with you like a detailed document. I want to address to Sam. There was a question about the events. So basically these conferences, the offline component of the program, about like what was the value of it, how is it organized?
So, for the events that were actually like organized, there were two particular events that I would remember very clearly. One was in Kenya, the second was in Malta. To speak just to the value of the events itself, one was actually a tech conference. At a tech conference, there was like very huge access to investors. You're able to like meet with as many investors as you want to, pitch your business, speak to them, tell them what you're doing, and try to even get context of what you can actually do to be more. Also at the event, we're able to get like a booth to showcase our business and also get access to partners and potential people you could speak to. I think interestingly, there was someone on the courts while in Kenya that was able to build partnerships with another business in Kenya at the time. So there are unlimited opportunities when it comes to this. When I speak about the event in Malta, it was very, very much like a learning session. We're able to take like a step back and really understand what exactly are we doing? How do we actually drive the impacts that we are meeting out to our customers. How do we measure this impact? And like I said, we had one-on-one sessions with investors. For the one-on-one sessions, a couple of them were not even sessions to say, okay, this is what I am raising. Some of these sessions where you're having a one-on-one session with investors and the investor is telling you, you've said this wrong. You've actually not said this right. You should say this better this way. And it helps shape how you have subsequent conversations with investors and was like super useful for us. So as regards the events, it was pretty much one of the key aspects of it. Also collaborating with other members of the court, because for most of it you would be seen on calls, but when you get to meet physically, you are able to discuss. We also witnessed cohort companies coming together to actually like propose solutions and build like a stronger and better business. So there are like very, very, very much endless benefits to it as regards the events as well.
Nice. Thanks, Sam, for this, and looking forward for this part. Always nice to have some offline vibes. And there's one question on the chat that I was thinking, Anastasia, maybe you can cover about the women migrants and what we mean by that.
Yeah. Thank you, Linda, for your question. And I understand your concern in terms of inclusion, but then really focusing only on migrant women. Now, given the focus of or the initial objective of the fund, the basis was on specifically migrant women or low-income migrant women, because there was a lot of evidence on showing that they are very much underserved, and beyond, for instance, beyond solutions like remittances, which are still, in some cases, very informal, there's still other potential risks that these women are really subjected to as far as the way they interact with different financial products. And it's within this basis that then the idea of financial inclusion, specifically for women migrants, comes in. However, the other opportunity is on their families, because in some cases we do interact with women who are, for instance, the senders or recipients of some of these benefits. So there are different avenues that we are able to include or work with women outside, the migrant label itself. So for instance, the people or at household level, when they're benefiting from such services. So this is the idea, but the idea really is on migrant women based on this need that was identified. And at the moment, this is the focus, with a slight extension to their families as well. So solutions that are solving for different needs for these women or their families would be the one that would be of interest as well.
Thanks a lot. And maybe one last thing that I just wanted to emphasize on this in terms of applications. We are looking mainly for growth stage fintechs. Even if you're not serving right now women affected by migration. First, maybe you are and you just don't know. Second, we could focus on this during the program because it's a big, interesting segment that we can help you also explore. So I dropped the link once again in the chat. If you have not applied yet, please do. We are looking forward to reviewing all of the applications. And thank you very much for joining these sessions. We'll follow up with a proper list of questions and answers from this conversation and from the ones that you've sent to us before. If you have any more questions, just drop us an email and we'll get back to you. Thanks so much, Anastasia and Sam, for participating and leading, and for everyone on the call for joining.